Hi and welcome to Photo IQ. I'm your instructor, Gus Cantivero. This is Unit 4 for Camera Basics. We're going to talk all about power consumption and tripod plates. Next, let's talk about power consumption. This is something that's going to vary wildly from camera to camera. If you have a DSLR camera, those batteries are going to be quite large. If you have a mirrorless camera, then these batteries are going to be much smaller, okay? So if you are using a mirrorless camera, let's say like this Fuji X-T3 or the Sony a7R II, you can expect reasonably for your exposures to be, I have up on the graph, between 350 to 600 exposures, but that is really going to depend, and that's a long range. That's really going to depend on whether you're using image stabilization, if you're using in-body image stabilization, so like your sensor has IBIS or IBIS, if you're using autofocus or manual focus, if you have the brightness on your screen set to maximum. These are all the things that you can do to increase the battery life. So if you only have one or two batteries, or let's say you didn't remember to charge your battery, that's a no-no. If you didn't remember to charge your battery before you went out, then you're gonna have reduced battery capability. So you're gonna wanna do things like make sure that you turn off your camera if you're not gonna be using it for any period of time. Don't overuse your image stabilization. All these different kinds of, don't play back your images just to, reminisce about the thing that just happened 30 seconds ago. You can look at them when you get home. So image playback, image stabilization, screen brightness, these are all the things that you can turn down or turn off in order to maximize your battery life for the day. The DSLRs don't have an EVF, an electronic viewfinder. So right there, that is going to increase the battery capacity that they have, the ability to shoot. I've also noticed that if you're shooting a lot of exposures in close proximity to each other, it's going to give you way more exposures. So I've gotten up to 1,000 exposures on one battery in a DSLR, but that was because I was shooting with motor drive, so continuous mode, where I would be shooting, say, 7 to 10 to 15 images all in a row of sports or something, or when I used to shoot weddings. And it was using a lot less battery to do that. It seemed like bursts. It does a much more efficient job with power consumption versus if I were just to shoot one image every 10 minutes or so, because the amount of power it takes to turn on and off the camera's metering and the screen back and just kind of powering on the sensor and powering off the sensor, that's using a lot of power versus if you were just using it to shoot a lot of images in a short time. So that's why the ranges here are so wide. You can get as low as 150 images on your mirrorless, especially if you're shooting videos and things like that. So don't misread this. If you're shooting video, that's gonna count double or triple as compared to shooting images, because it's doing everything that it can do constantly. Video is the most power consuming activity that your camera can do. So point and shoots, batteries on those are very small. So expect a lot less. 300 to 400 images is probably a conservative estimate there. But generally, 350 to 400 images is going to be a lot of images for one day anyway. But if you're going to be going to a water park or the zoo or a sporting event or something, you're probably going to shoot a lot of images. So, definitely charge your battery. Know where you're going to be going in advance so that you plan for it, and buy a spare battery or two so that you're never really caught in a difficult situation. If you go on vacation or something like that, especially if it's spur of the moment, you might not have time to say, oh, I should order another battery from wherever the online reseller. You might forget because when you're preparing for a trip, there's a lot of other things to remember. So it's just good to have that stuff in advance. So staying on topic with power, let's talk about battery grips. Okay, and this is a battery grip for my Fuji. And battery grips have two functions. As I'm sure you would already guess from the name, it holds batteries and it's a grip. So it makes your camera a little bit bigger. Now you might notice I have big hands, okay? So these tiny cameras are a little bit difficult for me to get a good grip on. I can only hold them with my thumb and two front fingers. The bottom two fingers just kind of sit below it and grip the corner. So if I'm gonna be shooting a lot, if I'm gonna be shooting intensely with on a job or something that requires a lot of battery power, where I'm not gonna have the convenience or time to switch batteries, then you might want to invest in a battery grip. And most cameras have a battery grip available either from the manufacturer or from the third party. And manufacturer grips are gonna be way more expensive than third-party grips. So a grip for Canon or Nikon from the manufacturer is gonna cost a couple $100, maybe $150 to $200, versus only $50 to $70 for one from a manufacturer like Velo, which is a known and respected third-party manufacturer, and they do a really good job with their quality control. The tripod collar on this camera, this Canon, is actually a Velo tripod collar, and it's half the price of the Canon, and it's basically identical. So, you know, I recommend saving money when you can. You don't always need the manufacturer's original equipment. So to attach this, there's a little contact here under a rubber plate. So this is part of the weather sealing. So if I remove that, there's some battery contacts or power contact that's exposed here. So if I'm not gonna have the battery grip attached, I wanna make sure that I have that little rubber cover in place because it maintains all the weather seal. So there's the battery door that's here. Take my battery, insert it, close. This just goes onto the tripod plate hole. And then there's a little twist knob on the back, screw that in place. Now it's weather sealed, and I have an addition of 2 more batteries. So this camera now has triple the battery capacity in it versus without the grip. It also adds really nice deeper ridge to hold with my big hand, and it has a vertical grip as well. So if I'm shooting a lot of portraits or portraiture, I can spin it and get an equal grip. So I'm not going like this to shoot vertically, all right? So horizontal and vertically like this. I can just rotate my hand like this. So if I'm gonna be shooting in landscape mode or shooting in vertical mode, there's another shutter button up here. It has all the autofocus buttons. It has my dials for my shutter speed and aperture if I'm not using the manual controls on the top. So I really recommend them for a lot of different uses. And one of the cool things that this particular model adds is the ability to have plug-in power. So there's a little port over here for DC power, and it comes with the adapter. So there's a little barrel plug that you plug in there, and then there's a long wire, and you can plug it into the wall or an extension cord. And what that will do is make your battery power unlimited. So if I was gonna be shooting long videos, maybe interviews, or if I was gonna be, let's say, making this up on the spot, let's say you're volunteering for your nonprofit and you're gonna be shooting family portraits at the nonprofit's outing, okay? So like the annual picnic or something, and you say, you know, as a nice thing, everyone's gonna get a little family portrait. That's a lot of pictures. It could be, let's say you have hundreds of people in your organization, that could be thousands of photos that you're gonna be taking. So how much battery power is that gonna take and you're out in the park and you can't charge? Well, okay, let's say that you have access to one outlet at the gazebo. You can plug in, or let's say that someone brought along a generator so that they can cook or, you know, play music or whatever. You can plug into that, and then you can have unlimited power for the rest of the day. So that's a great feature to have. And if it's something that you want to do, because, you know, our art form of photography is great to practice for our own discipline, but it's even better when you share it with people. So providing that kind of service to people is a really cool way to use your craft in a way that benefits other people. So that example that I just gave would be a really cool way to use your photography skills. Okay, I've added a few more things to my table of props here. So we're going to talk about tripod plates, or QR plates, which is quick release. So there's a number of different ways you could use quick release plates. Mostly it's going to be attaching your camera to a tripod or to a monopod, but there's other ways that you can use it as well. And because they are removable and reattachable in different positions, there's a lot of ways that you could use them. So one way is that you would attach, as you see here, you have your tripod plate hole, okay? And tripod plates come in, there's the 1/4-20 or there's the 3/8 16 hole size. And one is the size and one is the thread thickness. Every camera on the bottom is gonna have the hole for the tripod plate, and large cameras are going to have thicker holes. So the 3/8 16 is going to be on much larger cameras. You might see that for sale, but that's not going to be typically used on your consumer camera. High-end professional, really heavy cameras are going to use that 3/8 16, so don't worry about that. You can see, for example, on the bottom of this image, this is my professional video camera tripod plate. It's a long rectangle plate, and that is meant for balancing your camera weight on the slide. So you can slide it forward and back, but there is a catch on there to keep it from sliding all the way off. There is a safety mechanism built into it. The smaller versions are going to be like this little rectangle. I'll hit my video here for the close-up. So this is sort of the small consumer version of this long professional tripod plate that you see over here. And this has both sizes on it with a 3/8 16 and a 1/4-20. Typically though, you're gonna see just the 1/4-20 thread that's on here. Then this is a very common one. This is the Manfrotto RC2 plate, okay? And this is gonna be very, very common. You're gonna see this a lot. So it has a very smart way of attaching. So it has this large lever, and then it has a little safety lever over here. Okay, so you're gonna press that out, press that, and then it comes the rest of the way. And then it locks out in that position, and it comes up this way. So there's a little ridge here, and then there's the smaller one here. That goes there. And then when you press it in, it's gonna press this little safety catch. You don't have to worry about pinching your finger or anything like that. It's not that kind of a thing. So you can see a better view here. So my thumb and then this. Yeah, it's a little awkward, right? But you'll get used to it. It's not too bad. So press that, push it in. So you can have more than one tripod head system. So this is a ball head. You could have another one that has the same kind of plate, and then you can release it from one, pick it up, place your camera on another without having to remove the whole tripod head system. And then sometimes you'll want to just go handheld, so you know you could just go on and off of your tripod or the monopod. Another way that you could, another system that there is the Arca Swiss or the dovetail plate. Okay, so you can see the close-up here. The way this is designed, I'll catch the light like this, there's a little ridge in here. Okay, so if I hold it out like that, you can see it's in kind of like a triangle shape, sort of. And that is for this style of plate. Okay, so you would just twist it release like that, and you can see that this clamp opens up, it's like a jaw, or you can close it down like that, okay? So I have, as a way to kind of change the head system that's on each of my tripods or monopods, I have these little quick release plates that are dovetails, and it'll allow me to just lay it in there, and then you twist it and close it, and now it's locked in. If I remove it like that, just a little bit, it allows forward and backward adjustment without it coming out. So you can balance it or level it or whatever. So that dovetail plate can come off of here and just go on the camera if I prefer. And then now I have a quick release plate on my camera. And dovetail / Arca Swiss is a universal that you can find out there, and a lot of manufacturers make it. The Manfrotto plate, I've seen other people make them as well, so I don't know if it's an exclusive where people have to pay a license for it, but it seems like the fit is not always perfect. Whereas with the Arca Swiss, it is much more universal, so they're more predictable, so that they're gonna fit much more predictably. Here is my monopod. I can take this little dovetail adapter, and these are very cheap, by the way. This was like 30 bucks. I can just slide this, spin it on here. That's attached. So undo the clamp. That goes right there. Twist it down. And now I have the ball head on top of my monopod. So that is one cool way that that can be used. On my tripod, I have this very cool dovetail clamp. This is a high quality one though. This is much more expensive. It's from Really Right Stuff, made in California. It has a built-in level on the top, and this is the same jaw system, but with a clamp on here. So it has two positions. That's open. Lay this on top. Put it in that position. Now I can adjust it and slide it, and it's not going to come out, or I can lock it closed. So that's much faster than even the twist system. Off. On. That's it. Another one that we have, I'll bring this again because this is very small. This is my Joby head. And right now we're using the Joby, but it has a smartphone adapter on top. So this is the normal head that goes on top of this Joby. And this is basically a little ball head with a twist clamp, right? And it just squeezes and puts pressure down on that ball right there. So you just close that, lock it up. And on top, it has a little spirit level. Press this button, and this comes out. So this is, I don't know if there's a name to this system, but it is another style of quick release plate that's out there. So there's a lot of different kinds to choose from, and it doesn't particularly matter which one you go with. Although if you do go with the Arca Swiss, and that's ARCA-Swiss, SWISS, or the dovetail plate, there's a lot of different ways that that can be used. For example, on pretty much every camera, you can buy what's called an L bracket, and that would give you, it would screw into the bottom, and it would give you a hard metal frame that would go around the sides, and it would protect your camera from impact and scratch and things like that, and just be really good at protecting your camera. But it would also give you a built-in dovetail plate on the bottom and the side, so that you would just lay it on there and then twist the jaw closed, and it would just immediately be attached to the tripod ball head. Then you can, if you wanted to go into vertical mode without, if you didn't have a ball head or something, you just undo the clamp, rotate your camera, put it down, and then tighten the clamp again. So it's actually a really cool way to do it. So you have a built-in permanent tripod plate adapter, as well as a way to protect your camera. So that might be something you want to look at. And then I just realized I forgot to explain how these plates attach. So really quickly, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that this one has a built-in wing nut kind of system, or D-ring. So you just turn that and screw it into your camera. And then down here, there's a little, says which direction to point toward the lens. So one of the two directions. Even if you were to choose something like this for a video camera, it says the lens goes that way. And that's because the way this is set up, this is where the catch is, so you can adjust your camera position and it won't just fall out of the tripod head. That's gonna do it for Unit 4 of Camera Basics. We talked all about battery grips, power consumption, the amount of photos that you can expect to get out of a charge, and we talked about the kinds of tripod plates and methods of attaching it available to you. I hope to see you in Unit 5. Until then, keep shooting.